Hello, subscribers who are joining. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes for everybody to get in. If people are even trying to get in today, I know it's a Thursday. People probably at work, but I'm gonna wait a couple minutes. I hope everybody's doing good today. I'm doing good and looking beautiful as per usual, if I do say so myself. Got my little Gypsy revamped hat on, so shout out to the homie Gypsy. Check her out, gypsyrevamp.com, for nice merchandise, stylish. What she say? She said, what she say? Fashionable, high fashion streetwear is what she call it. So my bad, sis. I slayed that, but we're gonna figure it out. But anyways, you guys, this is gonna be a series on my channel that I'm introducing starting now. It's gonna be let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. I know this is a very sensitive topic, so trigger warning to all sexual abuse survivors and all the things that you may have seen. Trigger warning to y'all. This could trigger some things, but I don't feel like triggers are bad. I don't think that they're a bad thing. I feel like you got to know what your triggers are, what triggers you, what makes you, feel a certain way. If you're new to this channel, please go ahead and give me a big old subscribe with a post notification click. That way you know when I go live for these types of talks. So let's talk about it. All right. Sexual abuse, healing sexual trauma. Now, I'm going to also be vulnerable on this live and give some information details that maybe y'all don't need to know about per se. But I'm going to do it for the sake of providing a trustworthy environment and getting comfortable, okay? If at any point in time you feel uncomfortable by what I'm discussing, please exit the live. I do not want to spiral you into some bullshit. What's up, Aisha? How's it going, love? So this is going to be more, I don't know if I'm going to be using the tarot cards or anything. I just kind of want to have an open forum discussion. You guys can ask me questions about my personal sexual history in regards to trauma that I'm healing from, or if you have questions of your own. But yes. Aw, that's so sweet. May you be peaceful and at ease. I like that name pretty much. All right. So you guys, I want to discuss sexual trauma. Now, I'm not going to say it's happened to everybody because I hope it hasn't happened to everybody. But I can say from my experience with the type of people, I feel like there's only literally one person in my life that I know for a fact has not dealt with it. Like, she's told me she's never dealt with it. Her dad don't play that shit. He Jamaican. Look, I'm already giving her out too many details, but y'all don't know, sis. But she was like, my daddy was not playing that shit. And I feel like that was beautiful. But for those of us who either did not have, you know what I mean, a father in the home, somebody, an attentive adult, I feel as though, you know what I mean, things can slip through the cracks. Oh, thank you so much. May you be peaceful and at ease. Thank you. I appreciate the love. Okay, so yeah, basically, just to get serious, y'all, it's happened to a lot of us. Maybe it hasn't happened to everybody, and I hope, like I said, that it hasn't happened to everybody, but it's happened to a lot of us. And I think that it's important to have these types of discussions. So please, if you feel like you can be vulnerable and share your story, I will definitely incorporate this into the talk. But this goes into the inner child healing workshop that I am going to be putting together probably later on this year, probably around the summertime. But I am going to be taking people. So if you want to book a private reading, it's more so going to be like working on your past traumas than it will be a reading. But obviously, I will use my spiritual gifts and intuition to help you walk you through these traumas. I feel like the number one thing when it comes to sexual abuse or sexual trauma of any kind is that the person who is experiencing it feels as though they have been violated. Obviously, they feel as though that they have been like something has like they've been the power to say no, the power to decide for themselves has been taken away from them. And I really want to emphasize women and men. I want to, and the non-binary folks out there, I want to emphasize that this is not something so specific to little girls. This happens to little boys. This happens to grown-ass men and grown-ass women. Let's just keep it real. So I kind of feel like we got to talk about that. And I feel like there hasn't really been a space created for people to genuinely express themselves. Like, okay, we're going to get into it. We're going to get deep with it. So, you feel me? Everybody wants to point the finger at Chester the molester. Oh, so-and-so the pedophile. Oh, this person's a pedophile. Oh, this person's a... But I feel like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make what they did right. But I think you also have to understand, if you've been sexually molested by a parent in the home, by an adult in the home, by a babysitter, or something at an early age, it fucks with your decision-making skills because, one, it takes about, what? So you turn 25 for your frontal lobe to fully develop. That's the decision-making part of your brain that makes decisions as an adult. So think about, you're still developing what's right and what's wrong, and somebody comes in and does something. The thing about it is that you have to understand, especially for childhood sexual trauma, is that if it's somebody that you love or somebody that takes care of you and does that, that shit is so motherfucking confusing. That shit will literally spin you out of control. Literally. Because in one breath, this person loves you, they're taking care of you, they're putting food on the table, or, you know, they're a family friend, whatever. And the next breath, they're violating you and they're showing you something that you're not supposed to be seeing so early in life. And I think it's important to talk about the confusion. Another thing that came to me was trauma bonding. A lot of people are just like, oh, why do you deal with so-and-so? Or why do you do this? And it's like, you don't understand, this person is so, their trauma is essentially their identity because they're unaware of undoing what has been done. So the trauma is their identity. So this person's not just going after people who are abusers or dealing with people who, you know, whatever the fuck. This person has identified with the trauma to the point where they are connected to, or they connect or attract certain people that could also have dealing with certain traumas. So I think it's important to be aware of like violent abuse, sexual trauma, all that. It's important to be aware that as much as you just want to say, get out of that situation, don't let nobody be doing this to you, don't let nobody be doing that to you, you have to understand that if this happened at an early age, and if it happened multiple times, I'm going to share a personal story. I'm not going to say any names, and I want to speak appropriately of the transgender community. But I will say this, from my personal experience in regards to a friend that I have. And I'm not going to say any names, obviously. But I had a friend who was born female and transitioned into male. And me and this person talked so many times, so many hours. You know, we had conversations upon conversations in regards to topics like this. And one thing that really stuck out to me that honestly broke my heart was that I believe my friend transitioned to be a male from a female because they honestly, felt male in their heart, that they were male. But another thing that they told me that contributed to their transition was that they had been molested so many times. They had been trigger warning raped so many times. They by a neighbor, by their best friend's father, so many fucking times. That this person was like, I would rather be a male than to be looked at as a piece of meat, than to be seen that way. And on a spiritual level, we have to talk about the fact that there are spirits. Let's just talk about it. Let's go there. So spiritually, you have to protect yourself and your children because, and this was talked about in a Michael Jackson reading. So he's coming in. Thank you, MJ, for coming in to help me kind of organize the flow. But he talked about Michael Jackson. I channeled him in a reading, talked about how we need to see it from a macro level instead of seeing it from a micro level. On a micro level, we're pointing at Chester the molester being this evil, corrupt man who's molesting these children and doing this and that. What we're not seeing spiritually is that there is an entity using Chester the molester as a host to steal innocence, to steal innocent energy, to take that energy and taint it. That's what we're not seeing. So that's why it's important, if you have children or if you know anybody that has children or whatever the fucking case may be, you could be a grown-ass adult. Protect your energy at all costs. Protect your children's energy at all costs. Because what's happening on a spiritual level is that there's entities and energies that see these children as vibrant life force, which they are. But these negative ass energies, they want to corrupt that shit. They want to take it and taint it. They don't want this child to grow up innocent. Less extreme example you'll notice is when parents kind of clip the wings of their children at an early age. When their children say something like, Mom, Dad, I know how I'm going to save the world, and then I'm going to do this, and then we're going to recycle and do all that. And they're like, oh, honey, somebody's already doing that. That totally, like, lowers the child's self-confidence when people say that. And that's why it's really important. If your child starts telling you something, this could have even been you as a child trying to tell an adult that somebody did something to them. I think the first step, and hopefully you don't encounter this situation, but the first step is to calm your tone of voice. Don't get overly like, oh my God, I can't believe that, or oh, because that makes the child frightened and scared. Like, even if you are reacting in a positive way, like you're supposed to, it's going to make the child frightened and scared. It's going to make them be less reluctant to tell the information, right? So if a child comes up to you and says, Mommy, somebody touched me in an inappropriate place and I just don't know. Okay, honey. Well, I just want to let you know that that is absolutely wrong, and you did the right thing by coming to tell me what happened. Please. And I know it's hard as a parent because you just like, bitch, I fucking whoop your ass. You feel me? As a parent, you like, bitch, I start swinging on these hoes right now. But the important element is to get all the information. So first things first, if a child has reported that they have been mishandled inappropriately and touched inappropriately, first things first, take it all the way down. As angry as you feel and that you're, as angry as you want to be about this, take it all the way down. Listen, that's step one. Come to their level. Because even if they are upset, they're not really fully able to express it. They don't understand what's going on. They know that it felt weird, that it was wrong. Okay, so they're not really sure. They're like, well, let me just tell my mom and see what she does. And I mean, you can be very stern and you can let the child know that was absolutely wrong. Nobody should touch you there. Nobody should be inappropriately mishandling you. But you don't have to just go off emotionally because it's going to frighten the child. Whether you're helping them or not, it's going to make the child feel afraid, possibly ashamed. Children, they're not able to see that you're angry at whoever did this, or they're just like, oh, my mom's angry. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. So step one, if a child, anybody's child, your child, somebody else's child, report this to you. Step one is calm the fuck down. Bring it right here. Step two, gather as much information as you can. How long has this been happening? When did this start? You know what I mean? Like, what exactly happened? Ask all the when, where, all that. Ask all the questions. Did you tell anybody else? I think it's also important to ask the child if they've notified another adult. Also to ask the child possibly, are you the only one that this is happening to? If this is a school setting or if this is a setting where there's a babysitter that's babysitting multiple children, do you know if anybody else is dealing with this? Gather all the information you can from the child. Make them feel comfortable, make them feel safe. Immediately remove them from the predator, whoever the predator is. Remove them from the predator as soon as you can. After you gather and collect information, because you want to make them feel emotionally safe to tell you things in the future. So a common mistake that a lot of parents, and I'm not saying that they're horrible people, but a lot of mistakes that a lot of parents make is they get immediately infuriated. Who did this to you? And then the kid's like, oh, I don't know. And they're just too overwhelmed. Another mistake is that this parent, now let me tell you something. We didn't all see the Tyler Perry movies, okay? We know a lot of mothers, sometimes even fathers, will literally, what I think is so toxic, and I think harbors a lot of that pain and that guilt within the person as they grow up to be an adult, is if their parent or if their caretaker, whoever, continues to put them in the situation with the predator after they've already confided in the parent or the guardian of the adult. There's nothing worse and more painful than to tell an adult that somebody did something to you and for them to put you back in the situation with that person or bring that person around you or have you confront the person directly. Now, I rarely find that parents will be like, now tell Mr. Johnson what you told me. I rarely find that parents will do that or guardians will do that, but I can see that being a situation where it could be possible. So it's really important to immediately, once your child has told you that somebody made them feel uncomfortable, touched them inappropriately, that you approach the child very calmly, gather all the information, and immediately remove the child from that situation. If it's a school, an after school program. Now, another thing, and it's crazy because as a reader, it makes me emotional, but as a reader, I see this shit every day. I don't have no solid proof, but I see it every day. I see it every fucking day. Like how people handle children. Specifically what my guides want me to bring up is like coaches, or if your child is taking private lessons in, let's say, piano, violin, or playing a sport. Specifically sports like gymnastics or sports where you have a one-on-one coach. I see it. Like, okay, for example, y'all know I've been ice skating or whatever recently. I actually just got back not that long ago from ice skating. But I was watching old ice skating videos and it made me so uncomfortable because I could tell that this was a grown-ass man coming on to this girl. One thing is that I understand, like, okay, for gymnastics, for ice skating, you have to wear these little outfits when you perform. But just in general, having the children wear makeup, pageants, and all that shit, I feel like that's set up by the system for children to be, groomed and to be exposed to potentially being sexually violated or molested or sexual advances coming onto them. I saw a video where this ice skater, she's only 15, and it was so subtle. It was so subtle. It was caught on camera, but it was so subtle. You know, she had on her outfit, she was doing her stretches, and her coach like went and poked like right here, like in a very childish way. But I feel like even when we, as grown-ass fucking adults, when you get a new job, when you do your onboarding, they have a sexual harassment section that you have to pass, that you understand it. Any form of touching. You could touch me on the back of my shoulder. You could touch me on my mid-back. You could touch me on my side. Any form of touching that is not consensual, and in some cases, any form of touching in general is sexual harassment, period. So when I saw that, they're in a professional setting. You know what I mean? This is her coach. He's a grown-ass man. She's a 15-year-old girl, and he's over here poking at her stomach. To me, it doesn't mean that he's full out molesting her or violating her, but even just being comfortable doing that shit in public. You're supposed to be a professional personal coach. You're not supposed to be playing no, you know what I'm saying? I saw it in middle school. There was, and I'm not going to say no names, but a really good friend of mine at the time in middle school, I saw it with my own fucking two eyes. And when I tell you, so a friend of mine in middle school, she had a very curvy body. Like she was developing, you know, that's just naturally how her body was. There was nothing she could do about it. She can put on baggy clothes. She can put on baggy t-shirts, but her body is still her body. You know what I mean? And what child wants to be in a situation where they have to wear baggy clothes because they're ashamed to just be present in their body? So there was a teacher, an after-school teacher, who was extremely inappropriate. And I felt like I was a witness, and I'll still be a witness today. If she ever wanted to go back and put that motherfucker on the stand, I'd be like, yep, I've seen everything. He was playing around with her, like play fighting, playing around with her. And literally, this man smacked her ass. I saw it with my own two fucking eyes. And I was just like, what the fuck? She was like, what the fuck? She told the leader, the director of the after school program, by the time her father had got involved with it, The teacher, I want to disrespect him so badly, but we not gonna body shame nobody, and we not gonna. But this motherfucker, ooh, just get on my nerves. Just get on my nerves. This motherfucker lied to her father and basically flipped the script and said that she was being fast and she was kissing boys at school, which she was not doing at all. At all. He basically flipped it on her. And I know that happens a lot, but I saw that shit with my own eyes and it broke me because afterwards she got in trouble for something that she did not even do. And this motherfucker never even got fired. And he made several comments that were very uncomfortable for us children. He told us about how you can get herpes in your eye, all type of weird ass shit. Like, bitch, who are you? Get the fuck out of here. Here this person is supervising young girls. I watched this man hit my best friend's ass at 12 and 13 years old, and he did not get in trouble. I think I was the only person to see it, to be honest. But it's just stuff like that. So be aware of adults who, it's not bad for adults to play with children, but be aware of the play fighting and the extra, like, grabbing the children up and being too close on them and, you know what I'm saying, just doing inappropriate stuff. And I could tell that this man just instinctually saw a booty and hit it. I don't even think he registered or realized this is a 12, 13-year-old girl. He just saw a girl with ass. You know what I'm saying? And just was like, imagine how that would make you feel as a woman. I'm just specifically talking to women right now. Imagine how that would make you feel as a woman. Your own dad don't believe your word over this stranger who fucking sexually touched you, slapped her ass. Like, it was so inappropriate that I'm just like, I want to go back to this school right fucking now. I want the audacity to do that shit in public. So I've seen it firsthand. She went to her dad. Her dad did not believe her. Her dad got angry with her about something that she didn't even do. Totally did not gather the facts about her claim. Blamed her for how her body was shaped, which is out of her control, and made her feel like shit about it. And it hurts my feelings that a lot of women go through that type of stuff. You would think as a father, you're going to believe your daughter. You're going to protect your daughter. She had no history of doing anything like what this teacher had described her doing in the past at all. And she never had a history of that afterwards. So clearly this motherfucker tried to save his ass. But yeah, anyways. But I also feel like that's the case for young men as well. I think that we kind of forget or cast aside the young boys who deal with that. And I think also a really big important thing to remember is Mary Kay Letourneau, whatever the fuck her name is, was a teacher fucking with one of her students. Had the boy come over, spend the night, like he was going to go hang out with her son, who she was a teacher and she got a son in the school. Made it seem like they were just best buds, and meanwhile she was molesting him and actually had a child with him, and they actually got married after she got out of jail. So I don't fucking know what that's about. But I just kind of feel like it happens to young men too. Or, for example, that toxic masculinity where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, dad, feel like you been a virgin for too long or it's time to lose your virginity. So he have some older women come and do whatever. That is fucking sick. There's no excuse for that. Because if it was your daughter, you wouldn't have no grown-ass man come and take your daughter's virginity. So let's call it what it is. It's sick. It's not a rites of passage. It's not becoming a man. Let the man become a man naturally, not by your coercion or your force. And that happens to a lot of people, whether it be said or not. So I feel like these are different things that we have to pay attention to. There's children coming up in this world, and I feel like, okay, some of us may have dealt with this, but let's not pass that shit down to the babies. Let's not pass it down to them children who just want to live their little innocent life, who just want to be in their little la-la land, and let's let them have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And you can't stop everything, but as an adult, being attentive, even if you just work with children, you don't have to have children of your own. Even if you just know a neighbor's child, watch out for that child. Look out for that child. We have to protect the children. They're the future. We can't have no fucked up ass children out here repeating cycles and then having babies while they're still a baby and repeating that shit. Like, come on now. So yeah, that's really important to talk about. But I feel like, okay, those are the things, that's how you assess a situation. You calm yourself down, bring yourself to zero, get the facts of the situation, immediately cut the child off from whatever toxic situation has been breeding this bullshit, and then you confront the motherfucker. And see, I can't tell you how to do that. That's on you how you do that. As long as you are able to protect the child from not being in that environment. So if it's a coach and your child tells you that the coach did some weird shit, or if you work with other coaches and a child is telling you that the coach did some weird shit, immediately switch coaches. Okay, we're going to give you another coach. I feel like do background checks. It's really important. You can't just be trusting any motherfucker to just be around your child. Not everybody has the same intentions or the same mental space as others. You know what I mean? Some people have gone through molestation and abuse, and they actually think it's okay. I mean, to be honest, if you've been molested and abused as a child by someone older than you or somebody in your family, I mean, you're going to get conflicted about what's right and what's wrong, because it's somebody that loves you or somebody that's a family member or somebody that you have to be around who's also doing this shit. So you're going to be confused about what's right and what's wrong in that regards. But as you grow into a fucking adult, obviously, you know, do other adults be fucking with children? And I also want to talk about the older men that be coming at the younger women. When I was a young girl, I was like the full card, so I didn't really see it. Like, I used to go to high school, my little pencil skirt, my little crop top, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? My little shorts on, my little booty shorts or stuff like that. There were so many times that I, looking back, realized, like, you know, guys honking while you're walking, that, you know, the catcalling culture, even to the point where, and I mean, it's no secret. I went to Berkeley High School in Berkeley, California. It's no secret. If you guys have even kept track over the last 10 years per se, yeah, 10 years, 10 to 20 years, there have been teachers got caught up fucking with the students, children being put on the host roll, being prostituted, kidnapped from the school, all types of shit. So I grew up in pimp culture. I grew up with the Too Shorts. I grew up, and I mean, Mac Dre wasn't bad at all, but I grew up with the Too Shorts. I grew up with the Mr. Fabs. I feel like Too Short out of all of them was just kind of like the more extreme. I feel like Mr. Fab, Keep the Sneak, you feel me, E40, they wasn't doing nothing crazy or telling anything crazy. But the Too Short era, what's my favorite word, bitch? Why you gotta say it like short? Shake that monkey, all that shit. That shit that I grew up on, I was singing those songs. Trina looked back at me when I was 13 years old. In fucking middle school, we were all singing Look Back at Me. I got an ass so big like the sun. Hope you got you feel me? I'm not even gonna go into detail because we trying to not do all that extra shit. That's what I grew up on. So, and I've seen children that were my age slip through the fucking cracks. I had a really good friend that I tried to save. And at 12 years old, she started prostituting. Literally. 12 or 13, she started selling her body. I tried so hard. I told my mom. I was like, Mom, something's going on with my friend. Like, I tried to trick her, invite her over, and then call her mom without her knowing. Somehow she still knew. Like, I tried everything. I don't even know. I think she still might be doing it. It was girls my age that got lost in the game simply because of where we grew up at. Because there was so many pimps and P's and motherfuckers on Backpage and all that shit. You feel me? It's and I think that it's situations where you try to tell somebody. Now, it's not the case for everybody. I'm not going to say everybody's been molested and then they turn into a prostitute. No. But it's situations where you try to tell somebody, or you're in a household where there's an absentee parent, or maybe both parents are absent, and somebody's doing something to you in the home, or, you know what I mean, somebody in the school's doing something to you. So you get it in your mind as a young woman. I can only say as a young woman because I'm not a young man, obviously. But as a young woman, you get it in your mind Either you're going to be a victim or you're going to be a victor. And I think that as a young woman, when your mind is still developing decisions, you either going to keep getting molested or you going to start charging these niggas. You going to start charging these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you have to flip the dynamic so that you have some sort of control or power over your situation. You know what I'm saying? It's just been so many young girls. Like, it makes me so emotional because I know it happens to men too. But there were so many people's stories that I heard at a young age in like 7th grade. There was another girl. I went to a program called Youth in Medicine. Shout out to Greba Jackson. But there was a young girl in the program who, she was very smart, very intelligent, but you could tell she had to grow up very quickly. She was too mature for her age. That's another sign of possible sexual abuse, is a child being way too advanced for their age. Now, don't get me wrong, there's very intelligent children out there who are just like articulate and genius. But I'm talking about children who understand the inner workings of life way before they even have a chance to experience life. They understand stress, depression, and all this even before they really hit a point where they can even really get to that point. So there was a girl who had told me, it was so sad, so sad. She told me and some other friends that she had been raped so many times, like kidnapped, taken in the back of a van, whatever, that she said it hurt less if I just let them do it. She said it hurt more if I tried to fight. And I feel like that's the exact mindset that can catapult these young women into prostitution, possibly. Because it hurts more to fight the predator off than it does to just let them do it. It hurts more to talk about it. It hurts more to acknowledge it. It hurts more to bring it up. It hurts more to relive it than it does to just flip the power dynamic. Okay, well, this has happened to me so much, I might as well get some money off of it. It's nothing to me now. It's happened so much. It already happened. You know what I mean? Then that leads into drugs. Okay, well, let me numb my mind. Let me numb my emotions with some sort of drug. Now you have these. That's how you get young girls. Not saying every young girl has had that story or that's how they've gotten into that type of situation. But that's how you get young girls, 13, 14, 15, on the fucking E14, on the Blade, on Figaro, all that shit. That's how you get shit like that. Because there's a lack of parental supervision. Like, come on now. Ain't no child in this world that don't have at least, I'm telling you, at least 3 fucking adults in their life. I'm talking a mom, a dad, possibly a teacher, auntie, somebody that is supervising them. So I'm not saying that it's the parents' fault that this happens to children, because it can be somebody you trust. Now, it's motherfuckers in the church. It's motherfuckers in the church. And I'm sorry to my religious folks out there. There are preachers and pastors and deacons all up in the church that be doing that weird shit. So I'm not saying that, you know what I mean, it can't happen even with adults around. But I'm saying know the signs. So for the children, so if you have children or you are around children, these are some of the signs that you can notice. The child gets less talkative, or they get like kind of down. They get down, or they don't want to talk about certain things, or they don't have that spark in them. There's no fucking reason why your child at 5, 6, 7 should be depressed. There's no fucking reason why they should be depressed. They stop talking to you. They stop sharing things with you. You could have had a child that talks to you a lot. Now they've kind of withdrawn. So withdrawing is a number one sign that something under the surface is going on, that they've withdrawn. Okay. Emotional abuse, the signs is that they're apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no fucking need to be sorry. You didn't even do nothing wrong. You just literally walked outside the house. What are you sorry for? Overly apologizing. You know what I mean? Keeping secrets. So, I mean, I feel like the best thing to do when you have a child in general is to give them some sort of outlet to express themselves. Maybe take some time every week, once a week, have a house meeting. How's your week been going? How can I do better as a parent? But also give them other outlets. maybe have, give them a diary to where they can write whatever's going on in their diary. Now, I don't condone reading your child's diary. I feel like that is an invasion of their privacy, and it makes them feel like they don't have anything, like they don't have boundaries or their boundaries don't matter. But if you starting to feel like your child or somebody's child, if you know them personally, read that motherfucking diary. I don't like saying that, but if you've already kind of started peeping signs, maybe the child won't eat as much. Also, another sign is to be aware of who the child is not. I think it's so toxic when people are like, you better go say hi, you better go hug this relative, you better go give them a kiss. It's like, what you're not questioning why your child doesn't want to give a certain relative a hug. That's not even on your radar. You mad at the child, and it's traditional Black families. I can only speak as a Black woman, but traditionally in Black families, you know what I'm saying? It just completely makes the child like not have boundaries. And this is some of the things coupled with the sexual trauma that causes the children who grow into adults to have toxic relationships with people. You know what I mean? Like people who are always in abusive relationships, it's like they don't want to be in that shit. I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, I want to get my ass beat every day. They're in it because they have a misconception of what love is. So when you've been molested or abused at an early age by somebody that's a caretaker, somebody that loves you, your mind is so young, it still hasn't developed proper decision-making skills until you're 25, that you may confuse a predator with somebody that loves you. So I'll share my story. At 18 years old, and I had, at that time, my father was not in my life, hadn't been for a while. All I had was my mother and the examples of people that she had brought around. So boyfriends, whatever. At 18 years old, a 38-year-old man approached me trying to hang out with me, do all this stuff. And something inside me was like, this ain't right. We're on two different pages in life. What does he want to do with me? What can I give or offer him? 38 years old and I'm 18, like something didn't feel right. But I wasn't 25. I was still a child. I still had the child's mind. As grown as I thought I was at that age, I still was not able to make proper decisions for myself. And coupled with the type of situations I had seen and the examples of role models I had in my life, it made it kind of like something in me was like, sis, that ain't it. But because I was lacking male attention, love from my father, and I felt abandoned, this person seemed like shit. Well, this motherfucker want to help me and take care of me and do all this stuff. Well, shit, I'm just going to do it. I wouldn't say it's the worst mistake in my life because I don't have regrets, but boy, did I learn a very valuable lesson. I started recognizing the signs of pedophilic behavior through this relationship. Because even though I was 18, this motherfucker was 38 and had kids like 3 years younger than me. So it was definitely pedophilic behavior. But what I really noticed is like this, and it didn't register to me until somebody said this shit. And I was like, oh, that's what he was doing? I know this is going to sound like pretty obvious, but at the time it didn't. It just felt like playful and giddy. This motherfucker used to tickle me to get me more physically open and trusting, and then proceeded to approach me sexually. That's a number one sign. I mean, motherfuckers tickling you, all tickling you everywhere, getting in the lower regions and stuff like that. All that shit is kind of like, you know what I'm saying? All that type of shit is like, nah. Okay, we got some bots in here, but that's okay. I mean, they're just gonna get removed. Because who the fuck laughs at rape? They all came in at once. So that's how you know it's bots. Okay, so it's hella bots. Like, where y'all motherfuckers come from? Somebody saw sexual abuse and just thought this was the motherfucking shit to be doing. No. But anyways, you guys, we're going to keep it really light on here. You know what I mean? I just want everybody to know that yeah, all their shit. I just had to remove hella bots. What's up, Queenie? But anyways, you guys, I apologize about that interruption for anybody that saw that. I hope you didn't, because I just tried my best to remove it as quickly as possible. But yeah, we not doing none of that shit, period. And I'm like, a matter of fact, these motherfuckers getting reported as well. Yep, y'all getting reported. All these motherfuckers getting reported. They need healing. Libra checking in the building. What's up, Universal Soul Queen? Thank you for jumping in this. So yeah, motherfuckers was tickling to try to get me like comfortable to be sexual. That's the number one sign. Adults, children alike. A motherfucker tickling you all, like, I feel like tickling obviously should only be like up here. You shouldn't be tickling nowhere unless you tickling my toes. Okay, that's it. So yeah, I feel like those are the signs and everything like that. But yeah, I definitely healed from that circumstance and that situation. And you know, obviously it was a difficult situation to heal from, but I definitely healed from that, just realizing that what this person was doing. Another thing for me, not to get too graphic, you guys, but another thing for me that makes me uncomfortable personally, I know that everybody has their own preferences and it's not always linked to this, but what makes me uncomfortable is when like a real ass man is gonna accept the fact that the coochie got hair on it, period. And I've had several men tell me this is what makes it, like, I know everybody has their preferences. So I can't say that you're a pedophile because you prefer things to be hairless, whatever. But I've had men, even in high school, that was like, I don't like when it's shaved bald because it makes me feel like I'm fucking with a little girl. So could you not shave it? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I get that. But the men who are like absolutely like pressed, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have it bald. Like, I can't. It's like, okay, because I'm a grown ass woman. And even just the society, I feel like a lot of people don't realize this society, specifically in America and in other countries, it sets this type of shit up. The age of consent in certain states is 14 and 15. You can get married to a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even with the models or the people who, you know what I'm saying, Victoria's Secret, all that shit is like, oh, your coochie gotta be bald. You can't have hair on it. It's looked at like you're nasty or you ain't getting none if you got hair on it. I feel like that is so toxic for women to be subjected to that. We're grown ass women. Like, I ain't had a bald pussy naturally since I was very young. So why the fuck would I just be trying to make it look like some shit that it looked like when I was a child? Like, that's weird to me. Like I said, everybody got their own preferences. Some people like it to be clean shaved, whatever. No matter what the fuck I do, I'll leave a little bit of hair on that shit because it makes me feel uncomfortable just to have it looking like that. You know what I mean? So, and trigger warning, if you a fucking creep, get the fuck out of here. We doing some healing right now. You could get blocked right along with the rest of your friends that was doing some weird shit and saying some weird shit. Like, they all just came in at once, all of them. Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if anybody wants to share their stories or their experience, please feel free to leave in the chat. And if anybody gets out of line, I will immediately delete them. So this is a safe space. Nobody's gonna come up in here harassing anybody or making fun of anybody. I will not let it happen. They will get fucking reported. As we speak, motherfuckers is getting reported right motherfucking now. As we speak, because it's intolerable. It's intolerable. It's purely intolerable. Like, everybody is getting reported. Whoever was doing this weird ass shit. So I'm just going through it and reporting these motherfuckers. Because this shit is not tolerable. Let me go through, because it was another motherfucker that needs to get their ass reported. Report this motherfucker. But yeah, if you want to share your stories, please feel free to share your stories. This is a safe space. Okay, got everybody reported that needs to be reported, so that's good. Anybody else in this motherfucker wants some shit? Okay, yep, they don't want it. Sag Empath in the chat. What's up, Sag? What's up, Davita? What's up, everybody? So yeah, that's my story. I mean, it wasn't too deep into it, but going forward with the healing, I suggest that if you've dealt with any sexual trauma in your past, that you just talk about it. I feel like that's the number one thing to undo all that shit, is talk about it. Because when you don't talk about it, you unconsciously choose partners or attract partners who demonstrate the unhealed within you. So you'll get somebody that takes advantage of people, you know what I'm saying? Hurt people. And I also feel like it's important to understand the trauma bonding and stuff like that. I felt like even with me and that older man that I was with at 18 years old, and he was 38, literally twice my fucking age, we were trauma bonding. I hadn't had a father to protect me and love me and show me what was really, you know what I mean, what's really right versus wrong from a male's perspective. And he had mother issues. His mother neglected him, didn't love him, all type of stuff. So we were trauma bonding. Even though I kind of could peep like this is not right, and I knew that he knew it wasn't right, something about it was like a trauma bond. Like, we just came together. Rhea says, hi, y'all. Yeah, at a young age, you're not realizing people are sexualizing you. Exactly. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so pretty for your age, or, you know, all that bullshit. Like, yeah, I didn't realize. I remember, like, being fucking 5 years old and being at the grocery store with my mom, holding her hand, and some weird-ass guy doing that to me. And I feel like like, winks can be, going back now, that shit was sexual. I know it was. And I feel like people think, oh, you're exaggerating. That person wasn't trying to get at you. They were just being nice to you. It's like, usually a grown-ass man is going to wave, oh, hi, or say something. This motherfucker didn't say nothing. He just hit a wink at me. And I was just like, even as a kid, I was like, I didn't smile at him. I didn't wave back. I thought it was weird. He never smiled. And he did smile, but it was like a sly ass, slick ass smile. And I'm sure my mom wasn't looking him directly in the face. You know what I mean? Otherwise, she would have said, say hi to the gentleman. So I feel like even shit like that, there's unspoken things, I feel like, touching, certain jokes, and then there's blatant shit. But I feel like for those types of predators, they don't just straight off the bat start molesting children. They ease their way into it. They might tickle somebody inappropriately. They may touch somebody inappropriately. I remember another friend of mine telling me, this is low-key graphic, y'all, so I'm sorry if this disturbs anybody. But I remember a friend of mine telling me that her uncle used to lift her up when they would play basketball so she could shoot the hoop, but lift her up by her butt and, like, put his finger up in her booty. Like, shit like that. So I feel like you have to be very fucking attentive in general, period. I don't care if it's not my child, if I don't even know the child. If I see a child in a situation in public where they look uncomfortable or something's going on, boom, I'm going to address it. Because I would rather be wrong and address it than to be right and not address it. Okay? Rhea says the weird shit is going through it, and you look back on that time and it's like a huge void blank. I swear, if I ran to the guy who did what he did today, I don't think I'd recognize him. I was 7. Exactly. It's like when you're a child, it's kind of like you don't realize it. And I'm sorry to hear that happened to you, Rhea, and I'm thankful that you even posted a comment on the chat and was being vulnerable for us, because I feel like, it's important to talk about it. It's important to talk about it. It's important to let it out. Period. And I feel like as a child too, some children, like for me, for example, I really don't know what happened to me in my childhood. I can't remember it. I feel like something definitely did happen. And I can remember certain instincts. Obviously, when you're a child and you're hanging around your cousins and you guys are playing doctor and all that stuff. So I remember that type of stuff. But from an actual adult, I don't remember anything from an actual adult. Not to say it didn't happen. But I know for me, another symptom, another sign. So there's other people who you may have closed off or blocked out your trauma. So you can't talk about it because you don't even remember that it happened, or you've blocked out. Another way that you can tell that something could have happened to you that you might have blocked out as a child is that when I was a child, I did not like to hear sexual songs. It made me aggravated. I remember like back when I was a kid, the Ludacris song, Fantasy, my sister used to play that shit. I used to get mad at her. Like, I'm a child. I'm not supposed to be listening to this stuff. Like, I would get so mad because I knew better. I knew I wasn't supposed to be listening to that stuff. And also as an adult growing up, I feel like I never really had a healthy connection with learning about sex. Okay, we have sex ed. That's pretty basic. My mom didn't describe sex to me at all. And I think that's another important thing. Talk to your children about sex. Obviously, you're going to figure out what age is appropriate for them to know about it. But talk to your children about sex. Let them know what it is so that they're not finding out the hard way or learning from children their own age who don't know anything, who's just teaching them off secondhand. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of the molestation that I dealt with was from other children, like my age. Like, it gets so bad, and you could tell when children have been molested and stuff like that because they are teaching it to other children. You can tell when it's learned behavior. Like, where did you learn that? It came from male and female from my personal, and it was all like family shit. And then it was also, kids at like my preschool, like even preschool. I remember fucking preschool. I remember that shit. I remember we had like the little clubhouse, the little house, and we would just go in there and shut all the windows and shut the doors and experiment with stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, as a child, you know what I'm saying, you don't know any better because it's a learned behavior. Somebody either showed you that or did that to you or whatever the case may be. But as you get older, you know right versus wrong. You know that shit. Like, at no point in my teenage years did I ever feel, even though that shit happened to me, did I ever feel like it was okay to take a younger child and do weird shit with them? You know what I mean? Like, I realized like that shit's wrong. No matter how many times it happened to me or how many times I blocked it out, I realized that shit was wrong. But anyways, everybody deals with their trauma differently. That's why I'm saying it's just important to talk about it. So there's no shame. There's no like hidden emotions. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that dark energy, that keeping things hush hush, creates it to where people start, doing that shit. They don't have no way to express themselves or to get their power back. So they start taking the power for others. And somebody that comes up to my head immediately is R. Kelly. We don't like this man. We talk so much shit about him, but we never ask how he got there. How did you get to the point where you're going to middle schools, recruiting young ass girls to be your sex slave? How did you get there? Because I know you wasn't just born this diabolical motherfucker. I know you weren't. So how did you get there? I feel like instead of demonizing people, I mean, obviously we're going to hold motherfuckers accountable. If you over here fucking with children, I don't fuck with that. And I may be liable to get violent with your ass because I protect the children. I am a protector of children. I avidly believe in protecting children. But I also believe in having compassion and understanding that this person didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do the complete opposite of the moral standard and fuck with children. They didn't just wake up and do that shit. Something happened to where it was okay. It was normalized in their life some way, somehow. All right, I want y'all to check out what's his name? I think it's called The White Underbelly on YouTube. He does interviews with prostitutes. They're so young, beautiful girls. He's done interviews with sex offenders, rapists, and stuff like that. Things that people, they don't want to see that perspective. They don't want to know, oh, you're a rapist. It's like once you become a rapist or a pedophile, that's it. That's it. That's all you are. And it's like, but what happened to them as a child? So anyways, going back to how you can kind of determine if you've had any sexual trauma that you're blocking out. I know for me personally, I can't say the same for everybody, but I know for me personally, I was very uncomfortable with sex. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, okay, like, what is this? Like, it just makes me uncomfortable to talk about or think about. Like, and I feel like that's why it's important to be open, because children, they're curious. They're going to figure out whatever they're feeling. So they may be watching porn. They may be, you know what I'm saying, looking into certain things to try to get an answer. If the adult is not providing them adequate information, they're going to try to get answers the best way they can. You know what I mean? But I know for me growing up, I did not like sex. I was very like, even like recently, I have to get comfortable with it. I'm really not comfortable with it per se. Maybe I haven't read the right person, but I'm really not comfortable with it. And I remember with that dude that was twice my age, I told him, I said, I don't like sex. He thought that it meant I was a virgin. He literally was like, oh, I thought you were a virgin. I was like, no, I just don't like sex. So then he obviously proceeded to shoot his shot. But after I would have sex with that man, I would cry. I would feel so dirty and filthy. I don't know what it was about him. I think that there's still some blockages I'm needing to work through. So here we are, being honest, putting our shit on the table together. I'm not perfect. I haven't worked through all my trauma. But after sex, I would cry. Like, I would like cry so bad. Like somebody had just punched me in the fucking face. And he would just be like, oh my God, did I hurt you? What happened? What did I do? Like, nigga, I think you know what the fuck you did. You fucking with an 18-year-old bitch and you 38. That's what you did wrong. But I would cry. I would feel dirty. I would feel like a whore. I would feel like disgusting. It was like the worst feeling ever. And it happened a couple times and then it stopped happening. So I don't know what was released from that, because it stopped happening, but it just made me feel very dirty. And it made me feel like kind of worthless. Like, it made me feel like I had been used. And that was like, and obviously before then, my introduction to sex was obviously boys my age. So I never felt that when I had sex with boys my age. But when I had sex with him at 18, I felt that immediately. I felt used. I felt dirty. I felt impure. And I think that all those feelings from stuff that was happening or had happened in my childhood had just come back all at once. You know what I mean? Universal Soul Queen says, as a teen, I had the mind frame I wanted a much older boyfriend, so I portrayed to be at least 3 years older than I actually was. I was obviously addicted to sexual predators due to my situation, yes. And I feel like that happens as well. I mean, for me even, I've never even dated a boy my age. I never even really I had one boyfriend. We were boyfriend and girlfriend for like 2 weeks. The nigga broke up with me on Valentine's Day with his trifling boo-headed ass. So I had one boyfriend, and that was during high school and I was a teenager. And then when I turned 18, that's when I met that dude. Those have been the only relationships I have been in. I really haven't been in long-term relationships at all. So I don't even have that stability to understand how a long-term relationship is supposed to be, because I've never been in one. I've never seen my mother in a long-term relationship. My father wasn't around me growing up. So I feel like a lot of your situations, circumstances, things that could have happened to you as a child, things that you've seen growing up from your parents really have an effect on you when you grow into adulthood, and the type of people that you attract, the type of people that you're drawn to. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that motherfucker was too old for me. I knew that what he was doing was wrong, and I knew that he knew it was wrong. But there was something that just was like, well, somebody wants to love me, apparently. Somebody cares. Somebody wants to love me. And it was purely like based on sex. I mean, this fool was bragging, oh, I'm 38 years old and I got an 18. Or like, who the fuck brags about that, you fucking pedophile? But yeah, just signs like that. Like, he wanted me to shave my coochie bald. He liked to tickle me inappropriately. All that type of shit. You know what I mean? He also, another thing that you have to keep in mind is just consent. It's just simple as consenting. This motherfucker would literally fondle me while I was sleeping. And I feel like that is another sign. Like, I get it if you're in a mature, grown, adult relationship. I still feel like I wouldn't, okay, look, because I know some people be like, I'm going to wake my boyfriend up to head, or I'm going to wake my girl up to head. I still feel like you need to ask the person, is it okay if I do this, or would you like me to do this? Because if not, it doesn't give that person pleasure if they didn't want you to do that, if they were in the mood. So really, you're just getting your own rocks off. This person's not even, whatever intention you had to give them pleasure, it's not following through because they didn't even want that shit. But yeah, this motherfucker, one thing I couldn't stand, that nigga would kiss me when I was asleep. Like, bitch, you hella nasty. I ain't even brushed my teeth yet. Would touch me inappropriately. I feel like it was inappropriately because I'm fucking asleep, nigga. I'm not trying to wake up, but I feel like those are things that could have happened to him. And that's also a demonstration of possibly him doing this to others. Just, he knew I didn't like sex. One, we didn't have a whole lot of sex throughout the relationship. So why are you touching me and waking me up that way? You're not asking me if that's something I want or something that I like. You know what I mean? I hate that sex abuse shapes your likes and dislikes. Exactly. But I feel like it shapes your likes and dislikes when you identify as the trauma that you've been through. When you realize that you are not the trauma that you've been through, you can explore different things. It definitely takes a level of being comfortable and feeling emotionally secure with a safe partner to do that. And I also feel like it's important, if you are able to, if you feel comfortable, to let your partner know, like, hey, I need you to understand that there have been things that have happened to me in my past that if I don't want you waking me up to head or touching me when I wake up, because that triggers me. I don't want you tickling me below the waist. I don't want you doing certain things or saying certain things. You know what I mean? Because, what's up, Hamande? I feel like that kind of lets the person know, like, especially if you're still dealing with it and you're still healing. I feel like if you obviously have gone through your triggers, you kind of healed up some of that and you're able to just go past that and not really, if it doesn't get you caught up, you know what I mean? Then I feel like, that's different. But if it's a trigger for you, I feel like you definitely need to let your partner know whenever you're comfortable. You don't have to tell them like right when you guys first start dating or, but let them know before they start doing things that are going to trigger you. Like, hey, it really makes me uncomfortable when you pull my hair, because that happened to me as a child when I was sexually abused. Obviously make a space for this person. Get to know them, obviously, before you just start telling them stuff, but make a space. And I feel like, if they're able to be mature about it, they're going to say, you know what? I appreciate you for telling me. I apologize that you went through that. And let me know if there's anything I do to make you uncomfortable. If a motherfucker is saying anything short of that, drop them. Drop them like a hot fucking potato. And I feel like that is especially important for males' masculine energy as well. If you have been touched as a child, let your partner know. I do not like it when you just try to wake me up to head, or you do things to me without me saying I'm comfortable with it. And if any fucking bitch tell you, oh, you're so pussy, you need to man up, drop that bitch. Quickly. quick, drop that bitch. Period. Because I feel like, you know, it's really hard for men specifically to say, like, you know, hey, I had a couple male friends tell me that they've been molested and stuff like that. And I feel like through the male perspective though, because it's so hyper masculinity, toxic masculinity, where it's like, oh, at 13, at 12, at 11, you should already have lost your virginity. It's all this pressure to just be a man right away before you can even really hit puberty. And I feel like puberty for guys is really, really hard because you have all these feelings, all this stuff going on with your body is changing. On top of that, you could be pressured by your friends, or you were pressured by your friends, or just in general. Even like oh, she wants you sure you don't want to go tap that, or I'm gonna hook it up, or the spin the bottle shit, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I feel like for men it's harder to say, like, I'm not ready to have sex at a young age. I'm not ready. I'm still a child. Just because I'm a boy doesn't mean that I'm not a child. I'm still a child, and I still want to enjoy my childhood. And I feel like it can be really hard for males, young boys, to say that somebody touched them or did something to them, because it makes them feel demasculated. Even as a young boy, it makes them feel like, you know, little boys have this, like, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. They have so much vigor and spontaneity and aspirations and a lot of weight on their shoulder by society as well. So when somebody does something like that to a child, you know what I mean? It makes them shrink. It makes them feel small. It makes them feel, or they can get more aggressive because something has been taken away from them. They can't explain it or express it. So that's why I feel like for men, I have a soft spot for y'all in general in regards to being molested and stuff like that, because you could tell somebody and they'll just be like, well, you're a boy, so, you know what I mean? You didn't like it, or, you know what I mean? It's just like, that's not the point. Take away the gender. They're a child. If this was your young daughter, you wouldn't be saying that to her. So don't say that to that young boy. I think that's very important for the young men to be okay and be comfortable. It doesn't make you less of a man that somebody did something like that to you at an early age. It doesn't. And sometimes it even happens where, you know, other men are doing it to young boys. You know what I mean? Other women are doing it to young girls. That's happened to me. That's definitely happened to me. It's happened from men, not necessarily men, but female and male. It's happened to me. And it made me completely close off to even intimacy in general. Like, I did not like sex for the longest, and I would tell people I don't like sex. And they would think that it's like, oh, you're a virgin, or, oh, you just haven't had the right type of sex. And it's like, no, I'm telling you, I don't like sex for a reason. It makes me uncomfortable. I have not been properly introduced, you know, to what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. It's just been a lot of shit jumbled up, and I have to figure out, was this right? Was this wrong? Or was that right and this wrong? Or it's confusing. So I just, like, altogether was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even interested in that shit, because I don't know what's right and what's wrong in regards to this, especially if you've been molested or touched at a young age. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's definitely what's up, Queenie? It's definitely a sore topic, but I think it's really important to talk about and really important to dig into. I feel like as an adult dealing with sexual trauma, again, talk about it, talk to somebody about it, let those feelings out, say how you felt when it happened. And I also suggest for those who are adults dealing with it, write a letter to the predator, to the attacker, to the rapist, to whoever did that to you. Write them a letter and tell them how it made you feel, how it changed your life, and burn that letter. Because 9 times out of 10, you know what I mean, you don't ever get an apology. You're not going to get an apology from this person. They're not going to say, oh, I'm sorry for touching you when you were a child. I'm sorry for doing this and making you uncomfortable. They're not. Even if they actually do feel sorry in their heart and regret what they did, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to come back 15 years later and tell you that. So it's up to you to forgive them and just allow that shit to shut off of you, because it's not your fault why it happened. I don't care what anybody says. If an adult, if anybody, even if you are an adult and another adult attacks you, that is not your fault. You didn't do anything to deserve that. I don't care if you was running around butt fucking naked. butthole ass naked, walking down the street. That doesn't make you an object that people can just touch on and do shit to. Like, I really don't like when people just be touching on me. Like, don't touch me. Ask my permission. Don't come into my vicinity with your hands doing all that. I don't like that. Queenie said, at 15, I almost got raped. I never told my mom the bad thing. He was my friend. Exactly. 9 times out of 10, it happens to you through people that you even know. It's not even like a complete stranger just walks up. A lot of sexual abuse and sexual trauma happens from somebody that you know. It could be a friend. It could be a friend's parent. It could be a family friend. It can be somebody at the church. It could be a coach. You know, you just have to keep your fucking eyes open about that shit. Especially as a parent, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. And another thing that I noticed about like how people subtly rape is when they don't take no for an answer. Like that 38-year-old dude that was trying to holler at me when I was 18, I eventually gave in, but I told him no like several times, and he just thought that no meant try again to get a yes. And so I was 18, but I wish that I had all the information I had now to just be like, you know what, motherfucker? I said no. What part of no don't you understand? Like, what part of no, N-O equals no? You want me to sign it for you? No. I don't want that. Like, period. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's another way to know that somebody, because, okay, for sexual trauma, clearly your boundaries have been crossed. If you've dealt with sexual abuse or sexual trauma, your boundaries have been crossed. So it's very easy to, you know, switch it up and cross someone else's boundaries because yours have been crossed. I feel like when you experience sexual trauma, it's so intimate. It's like awakening something in you that you didn't even know was there. Because there's a lot of people I also know that were raped at a young age and they were turning into nymphos. Like they just had to have sex and they couldn't stop and they just kept going through guys to find something. You know, it's almost like you're looking for the power that somebody took for you. You're looking for it. You're trying to get it in these different people. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's another thing is when you don't have boundaries in regards to forming proper boundaries. You know, as a child who was not touched or molested or anything like that, normally you're going to find that this person expresses their boundaries very clearly. No fucking means no, and yes means yes. But no definitely means fucking no. I feel like for children who have had, you know what I mean, sexual trauma, they don't know about boundaries. They may often not give other children personal space. They, you know, may be very touchy-feely or like, you know, you can understand the innocence of a child when they're just literally like wanting to be close to you and like cuddle on you, even if it's not your child. You can understand that innocence versus a child like trying to stick their hands down your pants or talking about boobs and stuff like that. It's kind of like, who taught you that? Where'd you learn that? You know what I mean? Queenie said, when that happened, I was afraid for someone to touch me, even my boyfriend. Yeah, it's scary because you don't know, like, you know what I mean? This touch could turn violent. This touch could be unhealthy. This touch could hurt me when it's supposed to be love. You know what I mean? I've had that too, where it's just like, I'm not with it. Like, unless I'm in control, then I'm not with it. And I also feel like for some, now I also want to talk about what sexual abuse. So this is on the adult spectrum of it, right? Because we all adults here. Hopefully ain't no 18 or under. If you is 18 or under in this motherfucker, just don't even say nothing because you're not supposed to be on here. But if you are feeling like this is educational, this is helping you. But this next part, I think you need to leave if you 18 and under up in this motherfucker. But anyways, like kinks and stuff. I feel like there is a link between kinks, like the BDSM shit, like, oh, with me. And I feel like that shit, naturally, I just don't feel like sex was intended to be that drastic. Like, and don't get me wrong, me, myself, I'm not going to say I'm a freak because we ain't going to go there. But I will say that I do like aggression. But I'm also like curious, like, do I like aggression because somewhere I'm reenacting a trauma and I'm trying to get the positives out of it? I'm trying to get the good out of it. Or do I like aggression because I just naturally like aggression? Like, for example, there's women that are submissive and there's women that are dominant. And I feel like women who, obviously are heterosexual, and don't get me wrong, in the LGBTQ community, this shit happens too. Assault happens too. So I'm not just trying to make it exclusive to the heterosexual people. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, I often wonder, like, do I like aggression because there's something that happened to me that I'm not even fully aware of? Or do I naturally just like it? You know what I mean? And I feel like it's very common. I mean, just within society, we don't ever see sexually men being like, yes, dominate me, you beautiful woman, dominate me. Usually it's the classic, the male is going to dominate the woman. You know what I mean? And I feel like you can kind of see, like, okay, not to just like take it there, y'all, but you can kind of see the difference. I'm going to take it there, y'all. Okay. So with lesbian porn, you can kind of see, like, mostly you'll see like it's equal. There really isn't. There may be one woman that is more aggressive or whatever, but it's equal. But with heterosexual man and woman porn, usually the man is being very like aggressive, not, and I feel like it's important to note this because a lot of, even growing up myself, that's kind of where I started learning certain things about sex. There was only so many books you can read. There's only so many TED Talks you can have. There's only so much sex education they give you. I think I had one sex ed class in 6th grade. We maybe did it for like not that long. And that was it. That was the only, they never told us about anything, really. I didn't fucking know what a G-spot was until I was well out of school. So, yeah. Anyways, but I feel like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that learn sex through pornography, especially in this age, this day, and even back in my day. And I'm sure they had the little nudie magazines and stuff like that. And, so I feel like it's really important to just educate yourself, educate your children, and really look at like, why do I like what I like? Do I like aggression because it makes me feel secure and safe? Do I like aggression because, you know what I mean, it just makes me feel good? Like, I think a part of healing your sexual trauma is to just evaluate your sexual history, evaluate your sexual preferences. And if those link back to the trauma, it's not to say that you can't enjoy what you like sexually now, even if it's linked to your trauma. But it's just to say that there's a healthier way to experience what you like when you heal the trauma. Healing the trauma looks like, okay, it's going to take you sitting down with yourself and really evaluating yourself. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad to get choked out during sex, but why do we like a man to just grab our necks and choke us during sex? But any other time, if a nigga try to grab my neck, he getting all fucking 10 fingers cut off. Why is it okay to do certain things? And also, I think another thing too to be aware of is just like all the different categories of porn. Like, there's stepbrother, stepsister porn. There's father and dog. Like, there's weird categories. Where does that come from? Because really, everything we see outside of us is a representation of what's going on inside. So where is it that we've started fetishizing incest, essentially? But in day-to-day reality, I feel like porn is the subconscious sexually of the collective, where you could find any fucking thing you want to find, damn near. Hopefully not anything. But if you were interested in almost anything, you could probably find it. And I feel like we have to connect those dots. Why do I watch this type of porn? What makes me attracted or drawn to this type of porn? I also feel like it can help you kind of figure out your preferences a little bit more. I had a couple of friends that told me, and they presented to be straight women, but they told me that they watch lesbian porn all the time and they never like identify with being lesbian until they later realize like, okay, I never watch heterosexual porn ever. I always watch lesbian porn. Like, I think that might mean that I actually am attracted to women. I feel like you can kind of, by the things that you like or dislike, you can kind of connect certain things to who you truly are, what you're truly attracted to, and what is coming from trauma and pain. So, yeah, I would definitely, you know what I mean? Like, definitely check that out. Look into yourself and see, okay, maybe I like getting choked. Maybe I like getting spanked. That could relate to physical and sexual abuse. Maybe I like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I like sex that's kind of painful. Is that related to sexual trauma or is that related to me actually liking it? Okay, let me go back into my history. Has anybody had sex with me that caused me pain? Okay, yes, when I was 13 years old, the next door neighbor did this, this, and this, and it hurt me. And that's why I'm drawing to it because, like I said, it's trauma bonding. When you identify yourself as your trauma, you completely become unaware and unconscious to why you're drawn to certain things. Like if I was abused growing up, beat snotless, and I go get me a dude that's all hood and thug and been to jail a couple times and doesn't respect women, then I have to ask myself, why am I attracted to him? Why? What makes me attracted to that type of man that blatantly disrespects women, talks down on them, controls them? What makes me want to be with that person? You know what I'm saying? I know that there's types and preferences, but honestly, if we just cut it all down, just cut the bullshit, on a basic human level, we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel secure and safe and protected. And the additional traits that vary from person to person are just that. So why would I be attracted to somebody that does not make me feel emotionally secure or safe, does not seem to love me too much, and does not respect me? Let me look back at my trauma and see where these things have occurred and work through that and deal with that and send love to that part of myself. I feel like it's really important to do that. So yeah, I hope that this conversation has been helpful. I feel like I don't want to get too redundant about it, but I definitely feel like if you've dealt with these things as an adult, I honestly feel like writing a letter. Maybe you can do some art therapy where you like splash paint on a canvas. Maybe if you're angry about it and you want to get all your anger out, maybe you can go, take some dishes that you don't want anymore in a safe environment, go break them, shatter that pain, shatter that trauma, shatter that shit into pieces. But I definitely feel like there's multiple ways. Maybe you want to just talk to somebody. If any of you guys have dealt with anything I talked about or know somebody that, whatever the case may be, please, I'm going to start doing readings based on healing your inner child and healing past life traumas and past traumas in general. So I will be offering those readings coming up here very soon. Well, I'm pretty much offering it right now, but it's going to be official soon. I don't want to give too much away, but I have a surprise for you guys as far as how you can book with me. But if you've experienced anything like that, or you just want to talk about it, you want to get a reading, you want to, do some sessions with me to heal that up, or just have a safe place to come to, nothing that you ever say in my presence that's between me and you will ever leave me and you. I just want y'all to know that. I feel like it's very important for, sexual abuse survivors to understand that there is a safe space where you can talk about this, because a lot of the times when stuff like this happens, there is no safe space. You can try to go to your mom, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I kind of gave, if you missed it in the beginning of the live, I gave the steps to take. If any child, person, whatever, tells you that they're being abused actively, step number 1, bring it down to 0. I know you're going to be frustrated. I know you're going to be angry. It'll trigger your shit, but you got to bring it down to 0. because you don't want to scare that person. You want them to continuously be emotionally safe and secure. You don't want to have any outbursts where you're shotgunning them questions and they're trying to answer and everything is going too fast. And you want to say, okay, that was absolutely inappropriate. If that somebody did that to you, that is absolutely, I want you to understand that is not okay. You give them as an adult the guidance to understand. As another adult, I'm telling you, that was not okay. That was inappropriate. That was not how they should have conducted themselves. 1. 2, you gather the facts. When did this happen? You calm yourself down. You speak in a lower voice. When did this happen? When did it start? How many times did it happen? Do you know if this is happening to other children? Please tell me exactly what happened as best as you can. Okay? You reassure the child, give them, ask them, can I give you a hug? I think it's important that people understand that children are not just like little people. They're humans and they're being taught things as you go along. So if you just rush in and hug a child that doesn't want to be hugged, you're basically telling them their fucking boundaries don't matter. If you tell them they need to hug a relative that they don't want to hug, you're telling them, I don't give a fuck how you feel. I don't give a fuck about your boundaries. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, so before I know you may be feeling bad, like you want to comfort the child. Can I please give you a hug? I'm so sorry that this happened. Let them cry, pat them on the back. Immediately you tell them, this is going to be handled. This will be taken care of. And you let them know that you're not going to just bust them out or make them feel embarrassed. You know what I mean? You remove them from the situation, whatever it is. If their coach is talking to them or touching them inappropriately, you remove them from practice. Say, okay, you know what? We're just not going to do practice for a couple of weeks until we can get everything figured about a new coach that I have thoroughly investigated. You make sure that they know that you're doing everything that you can do to keep them safe and protected. Because they're feeling very vulnerable. They're confused. They're not sure if this was right. It feels wrong, but I'm not sure. This is an adult that I trust, so maybe this is right, but it just still felt wrong. It's very confusing. So you want to let them know the facts. That was wrong. That shouldn't have happened. I apologize this happened to you. I want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Please provide the information I need. I love you. May I give you a hug? We're going to remove you from this class. We're going to remove you from this babysitter. We're going to remove you from this situation. Everything will be taken care of. Don't worry. And then that's when you go off on them. Now, I don't know how you going to do that. Because that part, if it's another adult, it's a little bit different. Now, it could also be another child doing it. And so that's where it gets a little sticky when it's another child doing it. But you tell them the same thing. But you address the parent of the child, or, you know what I mean? You don't address the child. But, I mean, after you didn't let the child know that you finna handle it, at that point, I can't tell you this, though, the 12-step to getting that motherfucker to know what's up. You just either you do it your own way. You can freestyle on that one. You can cuss them out, call the police, do whatever you gotta do. But make sure that the child is no longer in the environment where that person is around, because they're gonna feel emotionally insecure. And it's going to confuse them. Well, my mom told me that she was going to handle it, but this person's still around me. That's the number one thing you don't want to do. And yes, Rhea, definitely talk to them before going ape shit, because you don't want them to feel like you're mad at them. Because children don't understand. Like, even if you're pissed off, oh, I'm so fucking mad. They're thinking that you're mad at them. They're thinking that you're mad at them, okay? They feel like they did something, and they're already feeling like they did something wrong. And 9 times out of 10, this person told them, don't tell nobody. So now they feel like, I've already told, I'm going to get in trouble, like all type of shit. It's very confusing. But anyways, if you or anybody you know has dealt with this and you need a safe space to talk to, you need to book a reading, or you would like some spiritual guidance for healing these childhood wounds, please check the description box below. It has my email, my Instagram, my Facebook. You can reach out to me, even if you just want to tell me your story, even if you just want to talk about it. You may not want to book a reading. You just like, man, this has been going on for 20 some years, and I've never told anybody this. I think it's very important to speak, because I think what gets taken away in the process of enduring sexual trauma is your voice. One is your power to make a decision for yourself and be sovereign, be free will. because we all have free will. So your free will gets taken away. Then your voice gets taken away. And that's where I feel like you can notice it in children when they withdraw. They're not talking as much. They're depressed. I mean, obviously, that could be a number of things. So definitely speak to your child. I feel like if you have children, literally just take some time, maybe even if it's 1 hour out of the week, talk to them. Say, what's going on with you? What's up? What's going on? Anything important you want to tell me about? You know what I mean? Anything going on? Anything you want to say? And just be calm about it and let them express themselves. Don't interrupt them. Don't jump the gun. Just let them express themselves. You know what I mean? Yep, that was me. Yep, Queenie. I feel you on that. So again, I hope it's helpful for those of you who are watching or who will watch. Thank you for creating the space also to allow me to give some examples of my sexual history that has not been so good. You know what I mean? And thank you for just being present, you guys. This definitely made me emotional. It always triggers me. Whenever I'm talking about people hurting children, I just want to like literally choke them out. Like, I'm not a violent person, but when it comes to people hurting animals and children, I just want to fucking slap their head off. Like, I just want to punch their lights out, literally. So we also have to learn how to forgive. And we also have to learn to recognize that, you know, it doesn't make it okay, but these people could have gone through situations similar. And, you know what I mean? It's always good to speak out and you will be heard. So I just want y'all to know that this is a safe space. This channel is a very safe space. Let's talk about it. This has been your Let's Talk About It session for the day. I'll be doing these probably like maybe once every 2 weeks, whenever I kind of feel like it. You're welcome. Oh, thank you. 777. Okay, I see you. Angel numbers up in the building. You're welcome. But whoa. And Rhea, you're very, very welcome as well. Queenie, if you ever want to talk, please reach out and I will definitely respond to you whenever you feel called. You don't have to feel pressured to do it right now. But anyways, I love you guys. I'm sending love, hope, abundance, and healing to you, your inner child, and your babies, okay? Sending love. We're going to heal this shit up right, okay? Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.